Good day, everybody. It's Henry Stewart here, Henry Stewart Events here, and welcome to Streamlining Workflows Without Reinventing Your Organization, what every DAM manager needs to know, sponsored by CI Hub. We're delighted to have over 250 attendees registered today from 25 countries. Please send in your questions during the presentation, and we'll answer them during Q&A at the end. And we are recording this webinar, and you'll all be sent a link to it tomorrow. Now it's my great pleasure to welcome our speakers, Andreas Michalski, Ingo Eichel, and Frederick Sanwi. Thank you all for joining us, and over to you, Andreas. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for doing the intro, and thanks a lot for organizing that event. We do hope that will be an interesting event. Hello, Ingo. It's amazing to have you here, and thanks for your time joining in today and giving us a couple of insights. And hello, Frederick. It's a pleasure for me to again have you here. We have done a couple of successful webinars with interesting content, and we do hope that we can deliver the same interesting stuff today. Today we will first give Frederick will give us a little overview on the DAM market, and then Ingo will join in and give us a little bit more insights about Adobe and connectivity. And we're really happy at the end if you have lots of questions. Before we end, I will have the pleasure to give you a little insight on the CI Hub's view on how easy you can connect your silos and how we believe that a DAM manager can improve their workflow by using their tool and connecting to their different assets. A couple of very interesting things today. So if you don't mind, Frederick, I would hand over to you. It's a pleasure, and I will
Thank you, Andy.
I will push the button to get you to the next slide here. Fred, take over. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as we said, we just ended the year. I ended the year last year with you and starting again with you. So it's always a great pleasure and honor. So thank you for the time, and of course, Happy New Year to all of you. And just cross the fingers that we can meet again on a trade show, on an IC World event, etc. So as usual, I think, and yeah.
I was very sorry to just jump in. Maybe I can give Ingo the opportunity to say hello. Sorry for being that. Ingo, maybe you would like to say hello also. Sorry for that.
Yes, sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Ingo, as you've just learned, and I'm working in the Creative Cloud Platform and Ecosystem team at Adobe, which is a team that covers developers and partners building plugins and integrations to any Creative Cloud app, like Andy Michalski is doing with CI Hub. And what this means, extensibility for Creative Cloud, you will hear in a minute.
Great, thank you, Ingo.
Okay, so now we can move to our first slide.
Now I switch to the slide, and happy to start in.
Yeah, and I'm also super happy with the title because, as maybe you know, I do a couple of things in Activo. We are now a stronger team, but finally, when we shared the ideas to get beyond finally about the connectivity between DAM and the Adobe applications, I'm also the voice as a DAM manager for Michelin Worldwide today. So I think it was interesting to also to share this experience. And so one other thing we saw last year is the massive acceleration of the usage of digital transformation. And this first slide is a clear representation how massive it was, and especially for e-commerce. And as we already said in our last months, or when you want to share a product on the web, at one time you need a picture, you need some metadata, and of course you need a DAM in order to streamline the content. And we see that alongside the different touch points, it's a huge, massive amounts of around the e-commerce, and so and of course from Amazon, but not only Amazon, because I saw that in France, as for example, which is only 20%. So it's every platform has a huge success. So the next slide. And of course, when you have to work at home or in different office, I can see that for most agencies, they have to work remotely. And as soon as you are in the creative, belongs to a creative team, you know that you have a lot of assets to share. So, of course, as a foundation, you need to start with a cloud system. And also, this is something we saw during the last years. Huge increase of the cloud system. And I will say also, as a consultant, that today we know that we have a lot of damn vendors, but regarding the market share, the vendors who have this capability to provide cloud services, of course, had a good success. So we are in the loop, and of course we see that this acceleration during the last months, and it will grow again this year. Next. And when we're talking about the cloud, of course, most of the people say, okay, I've got a website, so I've got an e-commerce platform, etc. But what we can see is that it's not only about a website. Now, that's really something we see since the last 4 or 5 years. We have a huge increase about the usage of the application. And it's all about the DAM, the PIM. Thanks to the HTML5 technology, we can do so much as we did before. You can more or less do everything you want. You can beyond the drag and drop. You can really get some dedicated application on the web. And the reason why today also most of modern web platform, you can also play on your mobile. Okay, so it's really a great move alongside all applications today. Next slide. But one other thing which is very important, and especially for most of the brand, and something also I can see by Michelin, it's all about the security. And I like this slide from Mulsa because this is something we didn't saw in the service before. Most of the time, when we're asking a customer, okay, what are your main priorities? It's, as we will see, it's more and more about the user experience. It has to be very easy to use, etc. But last year, we saw a shift, and regarding also the capabilities of vendor to provide API, portal, etc. API is a nice way to streamline the supply chain, but it can be also provide some issues regarding the security. So security is really also at the core of the year 2021 priorities. Next slide. But when we're also looking at in deep dive inside how finally people inside organization are working, we saw so many tools everywhere. And on my side, I can see that, okay, we are trying to get just one DAM inside most of organization. We'll try to apply and to some workflows, some processes, etc. To do everything inside the DAM, but we still see that's too much, I think, regarding my point of view. Too much people are still using some retransfer, Dropbox, Drive, etc. So at one stage, we can get this thinking about how people are working today, because they are working with this type of cloud storage since the beginning. It's not a shame as it is. And the reason why it's successful, because it is simple. Yeah, it's low cost, it's simple, it works. So it's difficult to explain to a designer that he has to choose something different outside of retransfer or a box. Okay. So, but by the way, I think we need great intent to look forward here to simplify this process inside your organization and not to get so much tools in fight that can kill finally the efficiency of the work. So next slide. And this one from Alibi is also very interesting. When we are finally working at what matters on the customer side inside. So this is a report from the end of last year, but by the way, it's always up to date today. What we can see as some of the main trends also. And for your information, this report has just been shared by Adobe after the Adobe Max, so which is always one of the main time in the year to talk about the customer experience. And again, it's all about the customer experience. So of course we were talking about the security, etc. But at one time, if you want to engage the people to work with the system, it has to be very simple, easy to use. Okay, so it's simplicity and clarity. And regarding also the usage of contents, we see that we have more and more videos, images, large images. And on the other side, because you know that we are talking about AI since so many times, and as a DAM manager, okay, AI is a nice thing, but we would like to get on smart AI and not just automation with taggings, keywords, etc. As for example, I can give you an example of Michelin. If you have something written on a wheel, on a tie, you cannot get recognition because it's on a curve. So, okay, at the end of the day, we are not really using AI as it is today by Michelin. But by the way, this report from Adobe is interesting because what people needs today, we want to, from the vendors, to involve this technology deeply to provide more services, just like predictive workflows, something when you are using the DAM system, maybe the system can learn from your usage. So very interesting to get this CI not only as keywording, but also more involved inside your system. Next slide. And just ready to launch this this webinar. I think it's always, and that's a graphic I presented a couple of times, but this is one which is very good. And finally, the clear representation, our organization, most of organizations are working. In every organization, you have an MDM system, which can be everything at one time for different companies. It can be a Salesforce, can be an ERP system. With small customer, it can be a FileMaker database, and sometimes with very small customer, it can be just a spreadsheet. Okay, but at one time, every company has one single source of truth for this metadata. And on the other side, you have a DAM ready as a foundation to streamline the assets across all the organization and all of the touch points. And more, we see since a couple of years, I would say a decade now, a PIM system, which is there to organize a product itself, the SKUs. So we have a lot of information, translation, etc., and also capabilities to connect to our e-commerce platform. And in between, I like the fact that a DAM is doing its own job, and it's always better to get a DAM and a PIM and just not one doing everything. Next slide. So what's next for this year? Of course, we'll try to forget what's happened last year, even if we see a massive interest about the digital, and maybe something we saw by most of companies today. Maybe unfortunately, if we didn't have the pandemic, maybe we should have waited a couple of times. I see so many companies that understood now that maybe you can be more productive when you stay at home, and especially in France. That's really a massive step for the organization. So it's all about, as usual, as we saw with the Adobe Analytics from the customer experience. It's always good to repeat this way, because it's not about the way to place some components inside the UI. And I would say, as Steve Jobs was saying 25 years ago, it's very important for most of vendors to be closer to our customers, to understand how they are working, to take benefits of a DAM system. I was talking about the security. I see still some vendors who are failing as soon as we are doing some pain tests. Performances, it's or something which is also at the top. And I see that sometimes, especially if you have to manage very large files, just like InDesign documents, big PSD files, you need a DAM as an engine. And the DAM is really an engine for your assets and your metadata. And of course, the metadata is really the foundation as usual. It's very important to get some discovery onboarding sessions in order to, during the survey, during the discovery, to know everything from new metadata, okay? At the top, we see more and more a system today. We are trying to collaborate inside the DAM, something where we can call workflows or business process mapping. I would say most of them are not really fortunate with that, because it's most of the time some task management, but by the way, some of them are trying to do the job. We'll talk about the AI. And of course, at the end, something we shared last year, okay, we saw that the cloud is the future, But I saw with some customers when they have terabytes of raw files from their photography studio to ingest, sometimes they don't have the time to upload the file. So that's also something I saw with Mark Davy I'm working with, that maybe we can see some back from some on-premise solution or some hybrid things in order to get some different render servers inside the company, and then to upload the completed project or files in the cloud. And as usual, something we can see, it's all about the return on investment. Regarding the territories, it's very different, but more and more people want to get everything, I would say sometimes for nothing, but it's important to, of course, to get a budget, to think about the team and the project, etc. Next. And so at the end of the day, what matters for a DAM manager, as I said, I will just go straight forward. The DAM is a single source of truth for your assets and your metadata. And now across, finally, the DAM as a single source of truth, you can find more and more capabilities in order to manage revisions, the abilities to do some approval. And of course, something which is very important for a DAM manager inside any organization, whatever you are, brand, an agency, is the DAM is the right place to share the content, but the right place of the creativity is the Adobe applications. Everything you can do in the Adobe application, something you can do or maybe never inside the DAM. So it's very important for us, and I see also with Mission every day, because we have so many agencies, a plugin is always super useful in order to share the content. Next. So just before before letting explain from Ingo the purpose of creativity, the DAM is really super useful today for any organization, as I said. So and I just try to write eight points. One thing is, of course, to get direct access to your assets. And something also which is very important, because today you have so many sources from different DAM systems or cloud storage. So something where, as a DAM manager, wants to get is a plugin where I can gather all this information in just one panel. Okay, so that's a dream. The second point is more to avoid downloading and uploading files. So it's very important from the plugin side to get this mechanism of check-in, check-out, managing revisions. The ability also to connect your native files, and we know that in InDesign document can be a lot of pages. Photoshop can have a lot of layers. Illustrator for some packaging usage gets a lot of elements, and it's very benefits to connect your native application with your DAM system. The search is, of course, super useful when you are working in a creative team. You're not willing to go to your browser, search for asset, download the files, then open in your Adobe application. You just want to stay in InDesign and just doing some search, able to provide, to get back some facets, etc. So the search is very important, and the usage of the metadata is also very important. Of course, we are talking about revisions, so because more and more you have to do some. I see for most marketing content, it's minimum of 3, 4, and sometimes for retailers it can be 20 revisions. So revision management is at the top, and of course, alongside the InDesign work, it's we can do so much more now with InDesign using some snippets. So all the capabilities of InDesign to drag and drop some piece of your document from the DAM to the InDesign document, so to provide some automation. The check-in, check-out, which is very important, because when you're working on your assets, you don't want somebody from the DAM system to delete the files, and access to your stock, Getty, or library. So this is more or less a good overview of the benefits of a DAM system inside any organization today with Adobe application. So next slide. And now, yours.
Fred, thanks a lot for that very good overview on what to expect. just one thing. You were saying in the slide before that it would be a dream to have all of that in one plugin. I'm really happy to show you that reality today.
I can't wait.
Okay. I think that's a good introduction to you, Ingo. That you know, we as CI Hub, we really work together with the Adobe guys for a very long time, and the ability to use the extensibility of the Adobe products is really unique in the industry. And Ingo, you helped us a lot over the last couple of years to really make use out of that. So let me hand over to you, and we get an insight from the Adobe view on that. Ingo.
Yeah, thank you, Andy, and thanks for the introduction, Fred.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start with a quote from my boss, Scott Dalsky: "Creativity is the new productivity." What does it mean? When we talk about DAMs, everything is about productivity and connectivity to it. Does this mean this is not relevant anymore? No, it's just the opposite of it. One is that Fred mentioned this in his talk earlier, that what we call content velocity. So there is an increasing need on building more assets for more channels that you want to distribute them to. But we also see that we have a new generation of content creators building content in all different ways and also new areas. And also we see marketers, knowledge workers step into creating creative assets. And what we mean by creativity is the new productivity is that productivity should become more commodity. So one is we need you as DAM managers to build good integrations to the creative workflows to allow accessing those assets where they are needed. But it's also about big data, machine learning, and AI that helps with repetitive tasks so that people can really create or concentrate on their creative work. And this was interesting, and by accident also on a slide on some numbers that Adobe provided, what Fred showed earlier, when it came to the digital trends report. If you may remember, we saw that creative or AI for design work and creativity was only used by 18% of the users. And that for sure is something that will increase. And I'm sure that is also something that is already increased, since many people perhaps just don't know where they already use AI in their daily work. Let's continue. These are the four themes that we drive most of our investments and that we introduced at our design conference Max last year in October. And if you go to the next one, let's dig deeper into it and see what this means. When you talk about community and learning, since what I just mentioned, we see more people also outside of the traditional creative workers enter to the creative space, but also we have new fields for creativity. This is why learning is getting much more important. We do this with live streamings and learning content on Behance, but already in the Creative Cloud desktop app, or with peer-to-peer coaching that you can also use free of charge in your favorite app like Photoshop. Next slide. The second area is collaboration. And there's also different areas where you can see this already in our products. Co-editing allows XD users to simultaneously work on the same document. In-app review is something that we started with InDesign and also bring to Illustrator and other apps, where you can start a review and approval process directly out of your creative app. Cloud-based documents, it's also coming, and CC libraries is a concept of, let's say, virtual project folders, or also the basic for design systems that cover 15 Creative Cloud apps. And we will hear a little bit more about this also in a second. Next slide. AI innovation, here we are. So image capture, go and try this out. This is an image for Photoshop Camera that you find on your smartphone that adds increasingly creative filters to your images as one sample for AI, but also perhaps more relevant for your work, see image composing, how remove background worked back in 2019 and how it works right now. So this is one of those really easy to understand repetitive tasks where people should avoid spending too much time on, since this is something that machines can do really good right now and will be able to do much better than you in the future. Video production is an example where we allow you to automatically switch a vertical video into a horizontal one, or just vice versa, all based on AI. And we also introduced neural filters to photography. So you see a lot of what you need for your daily work can be supported or completely done by AI. And there's also 3D and immersive, which is a new field also for us, where we have our own Creative Cloud apps like Arrow or Dimensions that we built over the last years. And with the acquisition of Substance or Algorithmic from France 2 years ago, you will also see a much better integration this year. So these are also new fields that many of the creatives have to work with. And so this is why it's so important that the workflow is really streamlined. Next slide, please. And this is why we said the fifth pillar that's really important and where we also invest heavily is Creative Cloud extensibility. And to give you an idea of what this means, these are more those 4 fields where we invest. It's about automation, and we have thousands of plugins and integrations that already do this and supercharge creative work by automating repetitive tasks. Connect, this is where we really have integrations to a lot of collaborative tools like Slack, Teams, Trello, or like integrations to work management tools like Workfront, Asana, Rike, and stuff like that. Or if you think of, let's say, typical editorial systems in the print and publishing world. Fill gaps, a very classical demand. Of course, plugins build features and functionalities that we just don't deliver in our apps by now or natively. And customize, we have a lot of APIs that you can use to automate processes in the background. Next slide, please. And to make this more concrete, these are the 3 areas that partners like CI Hub or you for your enterprise can use really to build integrations. Next slide. Modern app extensibility. This is meant really for the thousands of plugins that we have directly in the Creative Cloud desktop app, where you can look for them in the marketplace or in Adobe XD in addition. Content services, next slide, is what we have for Lightroom or Adobe Stock, where you, for example, if you are building a website or if you're using Spark Page to build something, you can directly access images from your Lightroom account to bring to this website. This is what we call content services, or libraries, as I mentioned earlier, who connect across 15 different Creative Cloud apps, but also connect to Microsoft Office and Google Workspace, which means you can have your Creative Cloud assets and use them across your Creative Cloud apps, but also share with other stakeholders who then might use those assets in PowerPoint or for Google Sheets. And lastly, app engines. We have them available today for Photoshop and Lightroom, and we just announced a beta for InDesign coming up shortly. And what you see here on this website is there's a demo website where you can use different APIs for Photoshop, like this one is for remove background, and test this out on the website. But of course, the idea for these APIs is that you use them to integrate, for example, with your DAM, so that businesses like removing background can be just done automatically, and no creative even needs to touch those images to prepare this. Next slide. And so extensibility really provides a big value for our customers in many ways. Check this out, next slide please, by just looking what we already have in our marketplace, or by listening to Andreas, who will now show you the CI Hub connector, which is a great plugin and one part of our extensibility story. Thank you.
Ingo, thanks a lot for that overview. Just one question to you. What do you think, thinking about the extensibility and all of the possibilities Adobe offers, what is the biggest challenge in regards to a DAM manager when looking onto the Adobe products. What do you think for 2021 on that?
Well, as I mentioned in the beginning, with the quote of creativity is the new productivity, this means that the creatives, but also the knowledge workers, they expect just to get a seamless access to all the assets that they have, that they might wish to get assets already prepared, like with removed background before they touch it and stuff like that. So for DAM managers, really, the most important thing is to really get an overview on what's possible, but also perhaps partner with existing solutions like the integration that you have to not do everything on their own. But these are the two. So I think most important is really to be aware what's possible and what their clients need or wish. Then check out what's already there in the market and what you can use easily. To then also concentrate perhaps on what is missing for your individual workflow and what you might build on your own on top of that.
Cool, thank you, Ingo. So there were a couple of buzzwords already, which I really liked. Get all of your assets where you need them. Get all of the different functionalities in the applications you're using, like InDesign, like Photoshop. Make use out of the AI functionality in a very easy way, and also extend the ability to not just use the Adobe storage, but get your assets from wherever your customer or you may have that stuff. And that's actually, and I would like to jump in before I show a lot of slides again. What I would like to show all of you is we as CI Hub have worked the last 2 years in building an infrastructure which really makes it possible and easy to integrate all of the different functionalities and of all of your different data sources with a very, very simple plugin in your Adobe, but also in your Microsoft products, and make a very easy use out of that. We all know, and we had that in the description to that webinar, we all know that we have our data in a variety of different silos, and all of these silos are more or less isolated, and it's a hassle to really get access to all of that stuff. And we think before you really can make use out of automation, out of AI, out of all of that stuff, you need to have a universal access to all of your different assets. And that's actually one thing what we focus on. And I love to show you our idea on this one. So let me just switch to and I would love to show it to you in InDesign. You should all see my InDesign desktop now, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. So I'm in InDesign. Whatever I show you today here in InDesign, that works in the same way if you're in Photoshop, in Illustrator, in Premiere Pro for video editing, and in After Effects. And in the Microsoft area, it works in PowerPoint, Word, Excel, and in Outlook. So the first thing what you can do, and this is the easiest way to get access to all of your assets across your enterprise. And think about you're an agency, you have 10 different customers and they have 5 different ways on how to store their assets. You just click on connections, you just click on the plus button, and you see that list of already available systems. To access all of these systems, it is extremely simple for us to get access to all of that. Let me just connect to an additional Dropbox, and it works really across all of the other systems. And it can be a DAM system, can be a PIM system, it can be a service, and we're working heavily on integrating workflows and other functions. Just click on Dropbox, it opens up my Open Out to authorization screen. I say, yes, I want to have access to my corporate Dropbox here. You just click on that button. You get an OK message that you're now connected. And that's all what you have to do to install a new connection between your desktop application and the data source where you have where you have your assets. If you want to go to a SharePoint or on OneDrive or a Google Drive, or as Ingo mentioned, if you have your stuff in Lightroom or in the Adobe library, It's always the same. You just click on the plus button, you click on the logo, log in with your credentials, and you have access to all of your assets. I have just created a connection to my Dropbox, and now I can freely navigate through my Dropbox. I see all of my folders. I can scroll through my folder with my templates. I have that organized in templates and images, and I have immediately access to all of my InDesign templates here. What's nice, if it's a little bit small and you wear glasses, you can just make that bigger or smaller, whatever is usable for your desktop. And even without opening that InDesign file in InDesign, you can already scroll through that document and find out if this is the document you really want to work on. And if that's the document you want to work on, just click the right place, say open in InDesign, and that file will immediately open in InDesign. And plop, here it is. That InDesign document is in this case stored in my Google Drive, and again it could be in my Dropbox, and it could be somewhere else. Now I have full access in my document, and maybe I would like to change my headline image. So the only thing I can do, I can just go to my images or my pictures, and I can go to all of my images with which I have prepared with lots of metadata. I see them in here. I can filter my content. I can say, you show me everything what is colorful. I get all of these. I double click on that asset, and I immediately get all the metadata which are available from that asset. And it's so dynamic that if I'm connected to, let's say, my binder system or my Aprimo system, and I have custom metadata, all of these custom metadata will immediately be available in the plugin also. If I like that image to be used, I can just click on here, do a right click and say, replace that image with that image. And it immediately will replace that in my InDesign file. And that's also available, the system I'm connected to is able to deliver different renditions. So maybe a file for placement only, or maybe a low-res file or a high-res file. I can immediately select which kind of file I would like to use within my document. And I can easily switch around from my low-res file to my high-res file just before I do my production. Very simple and very easy to use for that. And now imagine, let me go back to my list here. Let me reset that filter. And maybe I would like to use that image, but I have used that in so many different brochures already. I would like to have an alternative to that. Wouldn't it be great if I could just connect to my stock library, an Adobe stock and Getty image, or a Shutterstock? That's easy. I just click on my extended search. I have a connection available to my Shutterstock system. I just click on that button and I immediately get all the suggestions and similar images from Shutterstock, which are similar to my selected one. And I could say, yep, I like this one. So please replace that image with this one. Download it, put it into my document. Here it is. As simple as possible. I can also apply filters to it. I can search it. I can drill down. It's very easy to navigate through all of my assets. So let me go back to my folder navigation. One thing what may come up is, okay, what is if you now want to produce that file and you need high-res images in my document and I don't know the status? Very simple. We have an extended link functionality in here, and that link functionality gives you the full control of what you would like to do with your assets. So in this case, you see all of these assets used in my document are not on my local folder. So if I want to produce a high-res file, it wouldn't work. But let us check if all of these assets are available in my Dropbox. And maybe in my Dropbox are assets which are newer or than the one I use here. So I get a full control of all of my assets which are in my Dropbox and immediately get the information that the assets I'm using here in my local InDesign file are not the latest one. There are updates in my Dropbox. So I can now just say, I would like to use a newer version here, I click on that and relink that asset to the newer version in my Dropbox, and I have immediately access to that newer version. If and that Shutterstock image is not in my Dropbox and my system has checked that, I can just upload that image into my Dropbox with just a click. And again, that would work across all of the systems we have connected. So if that image would be missing in your Creative Cloud library, it would just add that file to the Creative Cloud library with just one click. So this is very simple to handle all of the files, to always have the right and actual file in your library. And if someone sends you that InDesign file without any image, you just check that image against your database and it will find the right asset to be used in here and the latest version of that asset. Very, very simple. Let me go back to my template folder. Let me save that InDesign file here. And I save it. And now I can upload that InDesign file again into my Dropbox to share it with my colleagues. I can just click on that button. I just can tell my system, please update my file. I select that InDesign file. I can now decide if it automatically should also create a PDF file or if it also should create a package. And if I would like to not do that, I just click on my OK button and my local work will immediately be updated in the Dropbox, creates a new version, and my colleagues would have an immediately access to that new InDesign file and could work and download that to their local drive, work with it, and again, share it with their colleagues. And that's all within the product. And it again works the same way if I'm in InDesign or any other product. And now, wouldn't it be cool if I can have the same functionality in my Microsoft products? Yes, you can. Just go to my PowerPoint. Here in my PowerPoint, I have my CI Hub plugin open. I'm again connected to my Dropbox. I just go to my demo case folder again, go to my images, select my metadata images. And as we all know, pictures from cats or dogs work the best. Let me just place that in my PowerPoint file. That's the demo, okay. That would normally work.
Thanks for building this in, Andrea. So now we all know that it's really a live presentation.
I'm very sorry for that. It would normally work. I don't know. So you can do the same stuff in InDesign and in PowerPoint also. So you would just insert that image. Let me see if I at least can drag and drop metadata to it. No, it doesn't work either. Okay, that's live. Maybe I played around too much for preparing the presentation. Sorry for that, but it would work. I've tested it before.
I can't confirm that it
By the
does.
way, you have a video on the website, so.
Sorry?
You have already a video on the website.
Yeah, I can show it on the website. Yeah, I would love to show it live, but okay. Yeah, that's a very, very quick and simple overview on what you can do with it. You can work with your assets, you can upload your assets, you can manage versions, you can work with metadata. This is something what's built in. It works across all of the applications, and it is very easy to install and administrate. CI Hub is built in a way that it is compatible with large organizations. So if you have an infrastructure using SAML or single sign-on, it works. And whatever you've seen here, none of these content you see in the panel is ever saved on or stored on the CI Hub system. So it also works with all the security and data DSGVO compliant organizations and environments. As we're not using any kind of C++ technology, that plugin works immediately if there is a new version from Adobe or from Microsoft without any additional installation on that one. So it's really easy to administrate, especially if you have larger organizations and a larger user base. It's really pretty neat and simple to administrate. Very quick overview. Let me go back to my presentation here. So our goal with CI Hub is really to make all the assets, regardless of where they come from, available right at the fingertip of the user. We all know Bill Gates said, information's at your fingertips. We say assets at your fingertips. An asset should be where you need it, and accessing assets should be as simple as drag and drop from wherever they come from. Remember, I've just said before, imagine you're an agency and you have 5 different customers, and every customer comes with 3 different ways on how he stores his assets. Here, you just create a connection to the customer system once, and from then on, you don't have to worry about accessing that. You don't need to switch programs. You don't need to go to a web browser and access this database or that database. It's all where you need it. It's really, really simple. And this is our goal. Our goal, and the Adobe extensibility strategy made it very easy for us as developers, even it took 2 years to develop a system like that, to really integrate, use the APIs, and deliver the best possible functionality to the user at the most attractive price. That's always our goal, because we believe that accessing assets should be simple for everyone in an organization. Okay, there are already really a lot of different systems in it. We are working hard to have even more systems connecting to our system. We believe that there will be more than 40 systems this year, and that can be special systems like a PIM core for their PIM or DAM systems or rights management solutions. That's all built into the infrastructure, and that will be enhanced almost every month from us. Okay. That's so far the demonstration. I think it would be great for all of us if we can go into a couple of questions. Pretty sure there are some questions.
Yeah.
You are also all invited to download the CI Hub for testing. Just go to the Exchange store or the Microsoft store, do a download, and you can just use it 30 days free. Just create your CI Hub ID and you're happy to play around and connect it to your systems. It will work right away. So happy to get some questions.
Yeah, so we have a couple of them. I think the first one is not the most difficult one, is about how, if you can rename the connection.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You can give the connection a name you want. If you have 4 different Dropbox connections, you can name it my one, customer one. You can, yes, you can change that.
Okay, and regarding the licensing model, so you have no limitation about the number of connection you can provide.
Yes, that's right. There is no limitation. First of all, with the license you get, you can use it in all the products that's included, and you can have as many connections to as many systems as you want. There is no additional pricing for it.
Yeah, okay. And in fact, as soon as you set up a connection, that's nothing you have to do for the next time. So it's connected, and that's all. You don't have to repeat the process every time, of course.
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
Okay. So of course
There's
we
a
have
question
a
if we can. Yeah, there is a question if we can show it in Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
There is actually a video on YouTube showing the functionality in Premiere Pro. I will start my Premiere Pro on my MacBook Pro here, but I would assume it takes a couple of minutes. But if it starts, I'm happy to show it also.
Yeah, and I think at least what we can say to our attendees is they can look at the replay of the last webinar where you are demonstrating Adobe Premiere Pro. So we have also a question regarding the URL of the assets. Are you providing an URL for the asset in InDesign in the future?
Sorry, what did you say?
I'm talking about the asset URL. So for us, you have a link.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, do you have got a plan to provide the URL of this address in InDesign in the future?
Actually, it's already there. So what we do by linking to the asset, we're linking with the URL to the asset, and actually that URL is available in InDesign for managing the asset relation between the document and the asset. But we do it a little bit cleverer because URL linking is only available in InDesign, and our functionality works across all the product. So the asset linking also works in Photoshop or in Illustrator, even on a layer.
Yeah, and if I'm not wrong, this is you made some updates during the last month regarding this links management.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so of course one of the questions regarding all these full sets of features. If you are buying one license, of course, you have just all the features included inside the license.
Yes, everything what I've showed you, it's all in the product. There is actually no additional fee. And here's a question: how much does it cost? It's very simple and it's transparent on the website. Yeah. The whole Adobe family is 19 euros.
You are talking about the price, that maybe you can repeat to our audience.
Sorry.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I was just waiting for the answer. It's more, can you repeat maybe the pricing of a plugin?
Yes, the pricing for the plugin is 19 euros per user and month. And it includes all the Adobe products and as many connections as you want to all the systems which are available.
We have an interesting question regarding the metadata things. So can you, the question is, can you show a little bit more about how you can edit metadata from the CC app and the plugins?
Mm-hmm. So metadata, let me just double click on that. So here's the metadata of the plugin of that asset. So you can just drop that asset into your InDesign here, and then you can just drop the metadata in here. We also support formatted metadata. So if systems support the storage of formatted metadata in their system, then you can drag and drop that, and you would get also the formats while dragging and dropping. And you could also edit the metadata if the system is allowing that via the API. This is different from system to system, but if the system again allows that, you could also edit metadata.
Yeah, and something also it's interesting in the search also, you can see also all the other keywords, which is also cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you are searching for.
Yeah, searching works across every asset in that regard. So let me type in, I'm here in Shutterstock, I can just enter car, and you can search for images or you can search for videos, whatever you want. Yeah, you get all the assets relating to that. Yeah. And if the system provides a search and faceted search through the API, then you can just say, okay, give me all images which are red. And then it will dynamically filter down and give you the ability to really make use out of all the API functionalities which are in here. So give me all images with one person on it, and that works across all of the systems depending on the system's capabilities of search.
Yeah, and something I can add also at the top, because I'm using for one of our customer, is the ability finally to inherit from the custom menu in these filters, which is very great because you can find exactly the same filters from your DAM to a plugin.
Yeah.
And something also maybe that should be interesting to say is, especially for people who have to search for assets or to retrieve assets from Dropbox, just try to make a search in Dropbox and just try to make a search in the panel. You have much more capabilities to retrieve thanks to a search asset from Dropbox, as for example.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Again, a question regarding the license, or of course it's one seat, one license, but maybe you can of course move from one to another machine, or
Yes, there is actually a limitation of 3 concurrent devices installed, but at the end you can have you can install the plugin wherever you want. You just log in, and with that login, there comes the restriction. You cannot log in more than 3 times on 3 different machines, but you can install it. We have customers, they install it on every machine, and then you just log in. There is actually no hardware or ID bound licensing on that one. It's purely an ID.
We have a question regarding some use cases that maybe you can mention or share. I've got a couple of them, but maybe your stage is yours to working with the plugins and DAM system, etc. Hello?
Yeah, can you repeat that?
Yeah, I said one of the question is, can you show some use cases you have of your customers working with the DAM systems and the plugins?
I'm happy to show more use cases and possible things. I think that would a little bit extend our time limit here. I think we can go 5 minutes over, but not more. Just contact me directly, and I'm happy to explain more of that. Also, there are and there will be more videos on YouTube about different use cases. Just contact me or take a look at the videos.
Yeah, and I can say as also we have 2 customers working with your plugins and DAM systems, so yes, it works.
Yes, it works a couple of thousand times already.
Yeah, for sure. We have one question regarding the usage with Excel. So does it automatically update Adobe stock layout images with later license images?
With later license. So if you want to license assets from a stock provider, you can just do that. You can place the low-res file in your layout, and if you have purchased the high-res file, you can just click on a button and it will replace your low-res file with the purchased high-res file. It's just a click away.
Yes, one more about the metadata. Are you supporting any namespaces within the metadata?
Yes, we do that. That just depends on the capabilities of the API of the connected system. In the moment when you have custom metadata or individual namespaces and they are handed over by the API, they will all be displayed here. This is actually how the connection to a DAM or a PIM system differs from each other. We can work with DAM assets, so you have an asset and metadata related to that asset, or we can also access a PIM system where you have metadata, which is then associated to different assets. Both of these scenarios work seamlessly in the plugin.
Yeah. And maybe one of the last questions we have is, if I've got a PDF inside my DAM system, can I open the file inside InDesign and modify the PDF?
You can't modify the PDF, but you can place the PDF in your InDesign file, or you can use that. And whenever you have an Adobe product that supports creating a PDF, then you can create a PDF from that. But it's not editing PDFs. No.
Yeah. Something I can say as a DAM manager and working in production, in graphic agencies, etc., you have Maxware, who is able to, which is an additional plugin, but from the CI Hub, you can get the PDF, and then with the Maxware things, you can more or less play with some things at the top of the PDF. But I would say it's always better to be back to the native files.
Yeah,
okay,
perhaps
so
also to add here, it's like you said, Fred, this is not something that a plugin like CI Hub should handle or is on their duty. It's about the question like which tools can edit PDFs. And one is, you mentioned additional plugins like Maxware. The other thing is, of course, since CI Hub works across multiple CC apps, you can open PDFs natively in Illustrator, and depending on what you want to edit or how the PDF is created, you might be able to edit what you want in Illustrator. And the third thing, of course, is if you have a Creative Cloud account, you also have access to Acrobat. Unfortunately, we as Adobe don't have the same developer interface today for Acrobat. This is why CI Hub is not directly working in Acrobat, but if you get the asset from your DAM, you can also work with that in Acrobat, save it back to your DAM, and then again reuse it in InDesign, Illustrator, where else with accessing from CI Hub, for example.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a proper usage to play with the PDF, for sure. And something
what you can do, just let me, if you have a PDF, I just selected that PDF, I click OK, and what I can easily do now, this is a PDF with, I think, 10 different pages or something. I can then easily get that PDF. I say I would like to have all pages. I click on OK, and now I can place the different pages in my InDesign document and just have these different pages used in my InDesign document here. But I'm not able to edit the PDF document. No.
Yeah, for sure. But which is pretty cool, and of course something we can say based on the job options. You can, of course, from InDesign, upload the PDF with the normalization you want from the plugins to your DAM system.
Yep.
Okay, so it's free.
We will at the end. You will get the video recording of that presentation. We will have all the questions answered, and we will publish all of the answers to all of the questions on our website. So just feel free to take a look at the website. If not, all the questions could be answered in that short time frame.
And you have all the questions from a previous webinar, which is also very cool.
Yep, exactly. Thanks, Fred. Okay, I think we're through. Is there any more question? We would be happy to answer. And again, I would be happy to show you also the implementation as it is in Adobe Premiere, but we would need another 20 minutes we don't have. Just contact me and I'm happy to show it to you. And actually there again is a video on the YouTube channel about that.
Thank you.
Okay. I think then we're done. Thanks a lot for your time. We hope it was interesting, and we hope to see you again in one of the next webinars. Thanks a lot to all of you.
Thank you. Bye, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.